Thanks for listening to the ArtTactic Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Green. One aspect of the art market that we haven't covered as regularly on the podcast is the editions market, otherwise known as the prints market. Like other aspects of the art market, this segment has thrived over the past few years, and it operates in an interesting way in that you can acquire and collect blue chip artists at much more accessible price points. So in this week's episode of the podcast, we wanted to chat with Robert Kennan about some trends in the editions market. He's the head of editions in Europe at Phillips Auction House. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks so much for listening. Robert, thanks so much for joining us.
Adam, thank you very much for inviting me and Phillips to talk about editions. It's a very exciting time for editions. So looking forward to a really fruitful conversation with you.
Absolutely. Well, I think there's a lot of energy in the prints market right now. A lot of up-and-coming contemporary artists are making exciting editions. And of course, you have established artists who have been doing it for many years. And it seems like prices have gone up considerably in this market over the last few years. Tell us, to what extent has the editions market grown over the last few years, and why do you think that's been the case?
Yeah, it has grown. It's been growing for quite a while. We set up the editions department in New York in 2008 and then in London in 2013. And so in London, really the last 10 years, we've just seen year-on-year growth, and to the point where London is now market leader. So it's been extraordinary. How Phillips has, I suppose, rebranded the whole print collecting field and seen all that, great growth. I think that's been a really significant part of it is changing people's perception from these just being just prints to editions. I think that was very important when the department was set up in in New York by Carrie and Kelly. So that was really the sort of starting point for it all. And then, recently from 2020 through last year, we've seen extraordinary sort of growth. Last year was a record year. We sold in London near, I think, 17 million pounds of editions over 3 sales, actually 4 sales, because we had a dedicated Hockney sale, which was a huge success, which was a white glove sale. So everything sold. All of the lots sold in that sale. And then globally in dollars, we were, I think, just over $40 million. So really very, very healthy sell-through rate. And then this year in January, we had I think probably our best London sale. And then in June, another successful sale. So we're kind of on course to have another very good year.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in hearing your perspective on how editions fit into the collecting journey. Do you consider the editions market an entryway, perhaps, for some new collectors to begin collecting art, especially considering the relatively accessible price point? Do collectors who collect originals in depth also tend to collect editions, or do you usually see collectors collect editions or originals, but not both?
Yeah, it's a real variety. And I think, you're just looking you did a great report last year, the market analysis, one thing that was really interesting is that you pointed out what a huge percentage of lots that the editions market represents, which isn't really fully, or is only just starting to be sort of covered by yourself and other journalists and other podcasts. So that's very interesting. But in terms of the entry point, I think as an entry point, definitely I think the price point, the value is such that it allows people to get involved in collecting for the first time. We offer so many big names in our sales that it all seems very familiar to people that aren't maybe so familiar with the whole of the art market. They know those blue chip names, so that's why a lot of people are attracted to us. And at that, as a starting point, I think though there are lots of collectors who buy paintings, but buy multimedia works in print, all different categories. It could be that there are key images that a collector wants, whether it's a Marilyn by Warhol that is just unaffordable as a unique work, but as an edition work from 1967, it will fit in neatly to their collection. In your analysis as well, it's funny you pointed out about the artist Escher, whose market's risen significantly, and he's quite a sort of an outlier because he didn't really produce that many drawings per se, but there are real diehard collectors of his prints. And then there are people that just love prints and that medium or those media, and are really devoted to understanding that collecting field. And those are people. We love anyone to come and buy on ourselves, but we love it when people sort of really engage with how the things are made and really appreciate what an artist and the print studio that he or she collaborates with to produce some amazing artworks. So it's a real mix really of people. It's not just one particular area, but I think, as you rightly say, the price point does mean that it allows people to start collecting with a fairly modest budget.
And how much variety do you see within the editions market regarding each artist and how involved they are in their printmaking process and how high quality their editions are, and consequently how much they sell for relative to perhaps their originals?
It really depends on the art, how engaged the artist is, and how much they want to, how much they want to be involved in the production of the work. Hockney, for instance, is fascinating in that he likes being independent, and to such a degree with the most recent works, which are iPad works. There's no printer involved. There's no master printer. He did a series back in the mid-80s that were called homemade prints, and he wanted just to make his own prints at home, and he did them on a photocopier. So he wants that independence, free of having to rely on a master printmaker. And maybe artists find that restrictive, having to hand over the process to someone else. Some artists really enjoy and thrive in that collaboration. But at the same time, if you've been doing it over a course of 60 years, maybe you kind of think, right, I've done all the collaboration I want to do my own thing, very independently. But there is real variety in terms of the quality of the works that are produced. And that doesn't necessarily translate into the value and how desirable they are. I mean, it's very much image based. I mean, there are collectors and specialists such as myself and all my colleagues who love the nitty gritty and the nerdy side of looking at prints and how they're made and understanding the process, and sort of have a level of connoisseurship that we want to share with other people and collectors, and educate clients coming in. So you want to see some soul to the object that you're handling, but at the same time, we work in a commercial industry, and if something doesn't have much of a soul, but the image is great, and it's a small edition, and it's highly desirable, and it makes a lot of money, then that helps us as an industry, and that's just part of the variety of the artworks that we handle.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so it'd be great if you could identify some of the hottest artists in the editions market at the moment, perhaps some rising, emerging artists, as well as very established blue chip artists.
Yeah, I mean, really established. Hockney's, very, very strong at the moment. I think Warhol editions are really interesting. The market there is very strong, even though it seems that the originals market is quite static and a bit flat. But so that's an interesting, why is that going on? I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's price point. Keith Haring is is really, really strong. And I think his influence over a lot of street artists has been huge. And so one sees strong markets for people like Invader at the moment. I think Banksy's calmed down a lot since last year. But yeah, Haring is interesting and very sought after. Some of the women artists, British artist, Bridget Riley, she's a older artist, and yes, finally that market has really, in terms of the editions, has really started to boom. Nara, Kusama are very strong. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting. Tracy Emin's market is good.
And since we have you here and you're so involved in the editions market and engaging with collectors, we wanted to ask you if you could share a few pieces of advice you can give to our listeners, perhaps who are new to the editions market and are just beginning to collect and trying to navigate where to start and how to begin that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think auctions are an amazing place to start because we have such variety in our sales. I don't think there's any other sort of place you can come and see. I mean, we have 300 lots each sale by incredible number of different artists, different price points. So come and have a look at the sales, speak to a specialist. Don't be scared asking questions. Phillips often put on great events. We have printmaking days. We had an amazing David Shrigley online sale recently, and we collaborated with Jealous Gallery, who print a lot of his screen prints. So we had that. There's an opportunity to come and actually make a print with with uh, with a with one of the studios. So that was great. So then you learn about how things are made. You get a sense of what goes into it. That really helps to sort of to develop an appreciation. So we love doing that. We did an etching day a couple of sales ago. We did an iPad day. So those sort of events are really helpful for people. But yeah, coming in, talking to the specialists and buying, I think, you really want to make sure that in terms, condition, if it's an older print, making sure that the condition is good, the colors are good, the paper's not discolored, those sorts of things. You want to make sure it's in good shape. I mean, obviously, more recent contemporary editions, there shouldn't be any problems because they're relatively young or brand new. But if you're buying a Picasso that's 60 odd years old, then you want to make sure you have a look at it out of the frame, make sure it's the full sheet. Someone hasn't taken a pair of scissors to the margins to fit an old frame that they like, and they've trimmed down the margins, and that compromises the value. Make sure that the colors are strong. If you're buying a Chagall print, the colors should be beautifully vibrant. Don't buy one that looks a bit faded and pale. Wait for one that is lovely and fresh, and just bide your time. I mean, they're multiples, so there'll be one out there. If it's an older print you're looking for, there'll be one out there eventually that you should go for. But sometimes people just love a particular image and fall in love with it, and they go for it. But yeah, condition is a big issue, just to be aware of, and I think that just helps. Basic sort of understanding of how things are made, and then that's some good background knowledge to have when you're building a collection or making your first purchase.
Robert, thanks so much again for coming onto the podcast and chatting with us about many different aspects of the editions market. And before we let you go, tell us, what do you have upcoming at Phillips?
Yeah, well, we've got a sale going on today, which seems to be doing really well, which is good. We've just had our Shrigley sale. That was our first online sale in London. Coming up in London, we'll have our September sale on the 21st of September. We'll have our second Hockney sale the day before on the 20th of September, which is shaping up really well. That's looking nice. We've got some really good artworks in that sale. And I think in terms of the value, it's looking sort of comparable to last year, which was about £3 million. So that's coming on. And then New York will have sales in late October. And I think actually also we've got an online sale in New York as well, kind of a back to school, a small sort of very curated sale of modern contemporary prints, which should be fun.
Perfect. Thanks so much again, Robert. We appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Adam. That's very good. Thanks. Bye.